The F-22 Raptor. If you're like me and not in the Air Force, hint hint, then just like me you probably assumed that the 35 was better than the 22 because it was a higher number. That could not be further from the truth. The F-35 is accurately nicknamed Fat Amy. She's big, she's stealth, she's beautiful, but she's also not as capable as the 22. If the F-35 is Fat Amy, the F-22 is the Zodiac Killer. Allow me to put this in perspective for you. You know all those CEOs that only care about making money off of something? And how a lot of people in Washington have the same mentality? Congress straight up told Lockheed Martin that they're not allowed to sell the F-22 to anybody, even allies. Mainly because if somebody got a hold of it and they knew what they were doing, there's nothing we could do to stop them. Except for intercept with a couple other F-22s. The F-22 Raptor is capable of something called hypercruising, meaning without full afterburner, the F-22 can just cruise past the sound barrier. Granted, my knowledge is very limited when it comes to aircraft, but the only other aircraft I know that can do that is the SR-71 Blackbird. I'm going to tell you a little story so you can understand. A few years ago, there was a US drone off the coast of Iran, and Iran decided to spin up a couple of F-4 Phantoms to intercept. Now, the F-4 was a great platform in Vietnam when we used to use them. What those F-4s were incapable of detecting was the scariest flying object since the Cretaceous period. So a couple of F-22s came up right underneath the F-4s without being detected, checked their entire payload, and then came up behind them and just said, "You should go home now." Okay, Iran, show me on the doll where the F-22 hurt you. I don't know if I'm making myself clear. The sheer existence of this aircraft is a war crime. Most aircraft are limited by how fast they can go. This one is limited by how fast it can go before the paint peels off. Because whatever it's painted with is also classified. Most of the time, even ground-based high-fidelity radars cannot detect this thing until it opens its bomb bay doors and increases its radar cross-section. Radar cross-section is a measurement of how big an object looks in the sky. And this thing looks like it doesn't exist until it finally decides to unalive you. It's like peekaboo, but with missiles. There are several big countries out there, like Russia and China, that have tried to recreate this thing. I think it's called the J-20. Always imitated, never recreated. Ours is still better. And then let's go ahead and talk about dogfights. These things are capable of stalling and turning around within the length of their own aircraft. So a common tactic for fighter aircraft when they're intercepting is going nose to nose and then they try and outturn one another to turn around and fire. Most of the time what happens up there is by the time you're halfway through your turn, this thing has already unleashed its payload and turned you into a hashtag. Let's say you get lucky and the pilot's having an off day and you end up behind an F-22 and you're trying to get missile lock. Good luck. Again, this thing looks so small in the sky, a lot of missiles won't lock onto it.
What about heat seekers?
It's going to drop flares, chaff, either outmaneuver you or climb to an elevation that your aircraft can't compete with, and then it's going to come in behind you and kill you so dead you're reincarnated as an abortion. Legit overwhelming odds is the only chance you have against one of these things. That or somehow the slow guy in class managed to get behind the controls of the most advanced fighter aircraft on the planet. I am really glad it's on our team.